So here we are. We've already had some major, big bombshell announcements from E3. I've watched the press conferences. I want to share with you guys my thoughts, my review with E3. Of course, E3 is still going on in Southern California. Fortunately, I did not get to go this year, but I want to talk to you guys my thoughts on the big announcements. I'm going to, of course, go over a little bit over like Ubisoft and EA and Bethesda, but I want to first focus on the big three. Let's start off with Microsoft, okay? Now, Microsoft's an interesting thing. I actually started this YouTube channel because of the Xbox 360, and not too long ago I made a video talking about how the Xbox brand, to kind of step things up, they really need to kind of like, it's good they want to announce new controllers and things like that, but they really needed to focus hard on bringing the games. And let me just tell you guys, I was super impressed with the showing at the Xbox conference. And let me just kind of share with you guys, so often I watch a conference, whether it's for the PlayStation or Xbox, and I get to the end of the conference and they end it and then everyone just leaves and that was it. And so often I think, that's it, they're not going to show anything else. But let me just tell you, with the Xbox or with the Microsoft press conference, I didn't feel like that at all. When Phil Spencer said, "Okay, that's it," I was like, holy cow, they showed around 50 games. And at the end, you know, of course they showed after that, there was Cyberpunk 2077. And you know, they didn't even have to show Cyberpunk 2077. I was super happy. It's kind of like with like a really, you know, you go to the movies and you watch the whole movie and at the end you're like, that's it? Or you go to the movies and you watch a movie and you're like, holy cow, I'm happy, that was awesome, that was worth my money, that was worth my time. I felt like the Xbox division, I felt like Phil Spencer really did an incredible job. Of course, most of them were multi-platform games. They showed a lot of games that are going to be only on the Xbox and also Windows 10 or PC platform. I was really happy. You know, for years people were talking about, oh, Xbox is just all about Halo, Gears, and Forza. I really like Halo, Gears, and Forza. And they announced new games, new Halo, new Gears, and new Forza game. And of course, Halo is going to be released. It's going to be a while till Halo gets released, and Forza we're going to see in the fall. Gears 5 looked really good. And what Phil Spencer said, he said on how, you know what, they were already working on new Xbox systems. It'll be interesting, really interesting to see what takes place with 2019 and the new announcements with a new Xbox system. Also huge with the Xbox conference, they did talk about new or studios that they acquired, like Ninja Theory and also Playground Games. And there's been a rumor floating around that Playground Games, in addition to making Forza Horizon 4, they're also going to be working on Fable 4. And Phil Spencer even said they're working on another game, and a lot of people are like, oh, here he goes, but nothing was announced. And so, like, a lot of people after the show, they're kind of complaining that there wasn't another Fable game or a Fable game announced. But honestly, guys, I was super happy with the showing at the Microsoft conference. Honestly, I want to see that conference again because there were just so many great games. You know, you had Metro, you had Gears, and the new Forza Horizon game. Forza Horizon 3, honestly, is one of my favorite racing games of all time. One last thing before I get into the Sony conference. One thing that a lot of people, I know this generation, there's been a whole lot of remakes or remasters this generation. It's true. But Tales of Vesperia, let me tell you why I'm excited for Tales of Vesperia. Tales of Vesperia was only made available on the Xbox 360. It was also on the PS3, but that was only in Japan. Now it's going to be released for the Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and I think also PC. Tales of Vesperia, guys, let me tell you, I played that one from beginning to end. Honestly, for me, Tales of Vesperia is the best JRPG that was released last generation. Some of you guys may say, oh no, it's this JRPG or that JRPG. There are a lot of greater JRPGs. But for me, you know, some people might say, oh no, it was Lost Odyssey, or it was maybe Ni no Kuni, or they'll throw out different things. For me, Tales of Vesperia was my favorite JRPG. And now, you guys that have a PS4 or have a Switch, you're going to play this amazing JRPG. Okay, I'm sure there's other things that I missed. I do apologize. If I covered every game or okay, Devil May Cry, there's all this stuff. Okay, Devil May Cry 5, tons of stuff, but leave a comment section below what you liked about the conference, what you maybe didn't like about the conference. Not saying that these conferences are perfect. I was really happy with the Xbox conference. It was like game after game after game. Let's next talk about the Sony conference. Now, of course, they get right into it. They start things off in a much more intimate area or atmosphere when compared to the Xbox conference, where there was like thousands of people. You're in this kind of like small church tent. There were like wooden pews that people were sitting. I saw wooden pews, but I think a lot of people were having to stand in this tent to be able to get as many people as they wanted. They showed, of course, The Last of Us 2, and the action is fast and furious, very gruesome. But The Last of Us, the first one, was very gruesome and filled with tons of action, lots of dialogue. The game does not have, I don't think I saw a release date, so it'll be interesting to see if that one even makes 2019. Hoping it makes 2019. I was hoping it was going to make this year, but no way it's making 2018. But The Last of Us 2 was shown, but this is the thing I really want to point and stress to you guys. They next went, instead of going to the main conference, like we need to now switch things up and kind of get things ready for the rest of the show, they went to a kind of like a panel where they had a few people speaking. They had like the head of Sony or head of PlayStation speaking, and a couple other guys. Honestly, guys, I was watching that. I don't know if that was entirely planned. My thoughts, I am wondering, in fact, if that whole section, because it kind of felt disjointed, and I'm thinking that there might have been technical difficulties, or that they had a video or a collection of clips of games coming up PlayStation, or something was lined up. I really feel something was lined up to kind of smooth into the next segment. I feel like really something happened. I don't think, months of planning, they were planning on that. Let me know. Do you guys think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Okay, then they also talked about, of course, Destiny 2 and Black Ops 4. Not really getting into that. Those are games, of course. The Destiny 2 add-on, and of course you had Black Ops 4, a little bit about that. But the next, we also in the conference, Ghost of Tsushima. Holy cow, this is a game I will be getting for sure on my PlayStation 4. Games like these, holy cow, this is the reason why I'm a gamer. I'm super excited for that one. Also, we had Control, which is made by Remedy, and for those of you guys that are familiar with Quantum Break, it had a kind of very similar look to it. That Control, of course, is going to be a multi-platform title. One of the huge announcements a lot of people got super excited for was Resident Evil 2. Now, of course, this is a title that sold millions on the original PlayStation. This is a very old game, but there's a huge fan base for Resident Evil 2 now that it's, a lot of remasters is kind of like a fresh coat of paint. This is going to be totally different, and in fact, it's going to be coming out sooner than later. Less than a year, it's going to be upon us. So a lot of people are super stoked and excited for Resident Evil 2. One of the things I do have to point out, though, this is kind of interesting. If you think about what game kind of got the lion's share, was really given the opportunity to shine. It's a game that was announced years ago, Kingdom Hearts 3. The reason why I bring up Kingdom Hearts 3, of course, we've talked about this at other E3 videos. Kingdom Hearts 3 also had a decent amount of time or showing at the Xbox conference. So not a lot of games like Kingdom Hearts 3, where you had a bunch of time on the Sony stage, then you had a bunch of time on the Microsoft stage. So kudos to Square Enix for being able to pull that off, being able to get Kingdom Hearts on both stages and get a decent amount of time. Of course, Death Stranding they showed off a lot of gameplay, a really interesting looking title, and to be quite honest with you guys, I was watching the gameplay on Death Stranding, and I'm like, dude, is this game even going to be able to, am I going to be able to play this on my PS4 at 30 frames, at least 30 frames per second? I mean, if they can do it, if Kojima can do this, Death Stranding, I'll be very, very impressed. The game looks super, super gorgeous. And of course, kind of out of nowhere, they announced Nioh 2. Nioh, of course, has been a very successful, not only at retail, but also with reviewers. Nioh, very popular game that was first launched on the PS4. I think it's available now on the PC. And then with the PlayStation conference, of course, they showed a bunch of Spider-Man. Spider-Man's coming out. It's going to be a matter of weeks, months. You guys have already pre-ordered it. Awesome, beautiful title to look forward to. And so, yeah, kind of going back, a lot of people were kind of like scratching their heads going like, what's the deal with the Sony conference? What was the whole thing with The Last of Us 2? And kind of going to that stage and, you know, was kind of, what was the deal with that? I'm guessing there were some real technical difficulties. Let's talk about the Nintendo conference. Now, this is a conference that Nintendo's always been known for doing their own thing. Nintendo kind of honestly reminds me of the old guy watering his lawn in front yards, you know, in his underwear. You know, I do what I want to do. Nintendo reminds me, Nintendo is Nintendo. They do, honestly, what, love them or hate them, they do what they want to do. They let the chips fall. It's like, here we are, here are games, this is what we're doing. Your feedback, oh well. Not to say that they don't take in feedback, but they don't take in feedback. But honestly, guys, big announcement, of course, a lot of people already knew this, but Fortnite available on the Nintendo Switch. Not just to be able to play it at your home, but to play it on the go. Of course, you have to, if you want to play it online, you have to have access to Wi-Fi, but that's a really big deal. A lot of people were really looking forward to Mario Party, which has been a staple, not just on consoles, but handheld Nintendo products as well. Mario Party is announced for the Switch, and honestly, it's a really no-brainer to have Mario Party on the Switch. Super popular franchise. Fire Emblem, a new Fire Emblem game, which again, this is another game or franchise that has a really strong following, huge fan base, is going to be coming to the Switch as well. The game of the show, of course, that people were most excited about, that they announced, that people, of course, just, you know, they've, through the months leading up, they're like, okay, they're going to really focus on this. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and the box art, cover art, looks gorgeous, looks amazing, and this is a game. Now keep in mind, when Smash Bros. Was released on the Wii U, that game sold millions. Put that in perspective, because the Wii U only sold, I think, around 13 to 15 million consoles, so the attach rate was really high. If you had a Nintendo Wii U, chances are, pretty good percentage, you had also a copy of Smash Brothers on the Wii U, but that was really big. Now, here's the thing that I have to point out with the Nintendo Switch and with Nintendo. Through the years, Nintendo has talked about how they really want to focus strongly on third party. That's not to say that third party games weren't shown at this conference, but you have the world stage. You have millions of people watching your conference, Nintendo, and you want to show to the world that you really want to push hard third-party titles. I feel like Nintendo really dropped the ball with this. If you look at the top 10 list of the best-selling Nintendo Switch games, pretty much all of them are games that have been published by Nintendo. That's like the exact opposite with the PlayStation 4. Pretty much all the games, maybe one or two are PS4 exclusives, but pretty much all the games on the PS4 are third-party titles. I think Nintendo really needs to push hard and focus. They have exclusives. They have games that people will only want to play. That's great. But third-party games, I think they really need to do a better job. Okay, so let's just quickly dive in real quick on some of the other conferences. I'm not sure we'll get to everything. But EA, of course, they showed Anthem. They showed Battlefield 5. They showed FIFA. The interesting thing with EA, I do have to point out, is that a lot of people were not happy with EA, but the funny thing is about with EA is they talked about, of course, FIFA. For those of you guys that aren't aware of this, the PlayStation 4, super successful, obviously. All the games that have been released on the PS4, you have lots of best-selling games on the PlayStation 4. Think of the millions of sellers. Over 100 different games on the PS4 have sold over 1 million copies. But keep this in mind. This is the crazy statistic I want you guys to remember. Out of the 10 best-selling games on the PS4. Three of those games in the top 10 are FIFA titles. Think about that. Think of the hundreds of games on the PS4. Think of all the great games on the PS4. And three of them are FIFA titles that are in the top 10. That is impressive. You know, if that, honestly, not to I love Nintendo, don't get me wrong, but if Nintendo was running the EA show, Nintendo would probably dedicate like a half hour to 45 minutes to FIFA. No joke. Because the amount of money that FIFA brings into EA games. So anyway, guys, I'm definitely interested to see in the coming months and coming years what takes place with EA games, specifically with BioWare. It's definitely, BioWare's not the same company, which is kind of a shame. I'm interested in learn more and eventually play Anthem. Let me know your thoughts, guys, on the EA show. Bethesda, of course, they talked a little bit about the Prey DLC, talked about we're going to continue to support, and they talked about, with Prey, also they talked about Fallout 76. We got to learn a lot this whole week all about Fallout 76. We got to, of course, Fallout 76 also took the stage at the Xbox conference as well. I want to learn more about this title, but what I am super happy about, the two big ones that I was happy to learn about for Bethesda, of course, was the new Doom game and also Elder Scrolls 6. They came out on stage, talked about how Doom, this is what I love about Bethesda. They're such a huge and successful company, but they're still listening to gamers' feedback. And they're going to do whatever they can to make Doom a better experience, even the Doom that was released 1 or 2 years ago, which is awesome. So the new Doom game, there's going to be twice as many enemies or baddies, and it's just going to be bigger, better, badder. Elder Scrolls 6, of course, Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind, 4, Oblivion, 5, Skyrim. Elder Scrolls 6, I don't think it has an official title yet. It'll be a while, I think, until we see Elder Scrolls 6, but I think it's definitely time. Elder Scrolls 5 was released at the end of 2011, so we're pushing around 7 years, so I'm sure the game is going to be beautiful, going to be gorgeous. I'm not sure if Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be on the PS4 and Xbox One. I'm wondering if it's going to kind of leapfrog, and Elder Scrolls 6, when it does release, it's going to be on the PS5 and the Xbox, whatever that console is going to be called. Well, let's talk about Ubisoft. Now, Ubisoft, they showed games that were in other conferences. They showed the Division 2, they showed the Crew 2, and of course, they start off the show, I couldn't believe it, they start off the show with Just Dance. I guess Just Dance is still selling well, unless they wouldn't have shown it. But, Just Dance, that's a series that sold super, super well on the Nintendo Wii, but they're still releasing copies or editions of Just Dance. Ubisoft, of course, talked about games like For Honor, which For Honor's been out for a little while now, but for a few weeks, it's going to be made available for free, or the starter edition on For Honor is going to be made available for free on the PC, which is pretty cool. I've got it on PC. I've really enjoyed For Honor. I think it's a great title, and they also announced a new expansion for it. I honestly, guys, was really, really impressed with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's going to be set, of course, in ancient Greece. A lot of people were super happy and loved Origins, but this new title in the series, I was kind of surprised by this. I was like, okay, it took an extra year for them to develop Assassin's Creed Origins. I guess they already have the game engine, they've got the assets. I'm not saying that they're doing any copying and pasting, but they're probably doing some copying and pasting. But the game looked beautiful from what I saw. Definitely will be interested in playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Ubisoft also had, at the end of the show, they had Starlink. Well, now when they're showing the gameplay for it, it honestly looked like No Man's Sky, but then you can actually add little characters or toys. So some people were saying No Man's Skylander. But then they showed on how Fox McCloud is going to be brought into the game, and that one actually looks pretty interesting. Be interested in learn more about that title. And then I totally missed it. Beyond Good and Evil 2, of course. Beyond Good and Evil 2 The original got released years ago. I think it was on the PS2 and original Xbox, but finally, I mean, I was seeing the gameplay for Beyond Good and Evil 2. It looks really, really good. It said, you know, pre-alpha gameplay. If that's pre-alpha gameplay, that's okay. I'm super happy with the way it looks. If it controls well and it looks like that, and if it's an engaging story, sign me up for sure. So there definitely was some good moments in the Ubisoft conference as well. Square Enix is a conference that a lot of people, with EA and Square Enix, feel like those two conferences a lot of people were not happy at all with. But, you know, Square Enix, they showed, of course, Kingdom Hearts 3, which was also on the PlayStation and Xbox One. They showed Just Cause 4, which was at either the PlayStation or Xbox. I'm trying to remember. Just Cause 4, which will be released this year. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which will be released this year. People were like, well, where's Final Fantasy VII Remake? Can you at least say anything about that, please? But Square Enix and EA, a lot of people were disappointed with. Finally, I just want to point out with you guys, one of the other interesting announcements, I think it was Devolver announced that they're going to bring back a title that was released from Software, Metal Wolf Chaos, which was released exclusively on the original Xbox in Japan. Crazy over-the-top game. Check out the trailer when you get the chance. This is an original Xbox title in Japan. Goes for hundreds of dollars on eBay. They're bringing it back. It's coming to the Xbox One, PS4, and I think also the PC. Crazy that's coming out. There were some really great announcements. I know this video has been super scattergun, but overall I want to share with you guys my review. I am happy. It was not perfect by any means, granted, but you know what? I am really happy with what was shown, and lots of great games that I was like, oh, they're bringing that. Oh, that's coming this year? Or, you know, I don't know. It's easier for me to be happy, but I'm really happy with what was shown at this year's E3. I thought, in particular, there were some really great games shown at the Xbox and PlayStation conference. Some really unique. Of course, those two conferences were very different and unique, but lots of great games are shown on both stages. But guys, let me know your thoughts on this year's E3, and I hope you enjoyed this review. Definitely slap a thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you later.